أو كيف السبيل
Humanity sets the agenda.
تصنع المستحيل.
Welcome back to the show, and it's been a very interesting one from this morning. We spoke about, learning about things through narrative, and then, of course, dealing with financial anxiety, which I think is so imperative for us to be able to tap into. But another relative yet very important, pertinent topic at this moment, I would say, is the safety tips for children and parents. As we know, the kidnappings that are happening are spiking, and it started off with the four Motti brothers, which was very traumatizing, should we say, to the entire country. And I can only imagine what those poor parents had gone through. So we're going to be giving you some really important tips this morning. And my guest for this morning is Bianca van Aswegen. She's the criminologist and national coordinator for Missing Children S.A. A very good day to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good day, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially, with all the types of drama we're experiencing as a country at the moment. Bianca, talk to us a little bit about yourself before we get into the actual topic.
Sorry, can you just repeat that last part? I just lost you there.
Sure. I said before we get into the actual topic, let's just talk a little bit about yourself and of course, your qualifications.
Yes. Criminologist and the national coordinator for Missing Children South Africa. My job in the organization is to assist with the cases of all missing persons right through South Africa. So I work very closely with the South African Police Services and make sure everything is done from our side to help and find a child or person that has gone missing.
Right. And, as we know, this particular topic has just been highlighted a lot more since the Motti brothers went missing. But Bianca, let's be honest. We know the situation of missing children has been going on for years on end. So it's not something relatively new to our country. It's just gotten a whole lot worse, should we say that?
Yes, definitely. This is not something new. This has been happening for years. And I always say we think COVID-19 has hit us as South Africa as a pandemic. But children going missing in our country has been a pandemic for many years. But only now that it's really featured in the media and people are realizing what's happening and should have done this many years ago.
Yes, that's true. I agree with you. I think these processes and should we say protection of children on the whole should have been looked at from a higher level. When these things initially started happening, I mean, as we look today, there are so many parents that are still grieving the loss of their children and having absolutely no direction on where their kids are because they're still on that missing list.
Yes, and also child safety is very important. And I think things have actually gotten, over the years, we've gotten into a rushed life. Everybody's living past each other, and we need to sit and talk to our children and know what's going on and also educate them on child safety, not just us as parents. And it's also very important to know what to do when a child goes missing, because there's absolutely no waiting period in South Africa to report a person as missing.
That's true. Let's talk about the types of tips that we can give parents with regard to this. I mean, as we know, we had an incident in this week already with another kid, and it's getting really scary out there. So let's give I think on a general consensus as well, maybe the schools an idea of how they can also keep the kids safe, because we must understand that most of the time kids are spending their time at school and then during the afternoons with the parents. So I think we need to give advice to both parties to be able to create a safer environment.
Yes, definitely. And especially now we're approaching school holidays and festive seasons. Our shopping malls are very busy and down at our beaches. So we need to be very vigilant about our surroundings, and also parents should know where their children are at all times and whom they with. And also leave their children with people that they actually trust. When it comes to very young children, especially going down to our beaches and shopping centers, dress them in brightly colored clothes so they're easily spotted in a crowd of people. And also know your emergency numbers and know what to do when a child goes missing. and also report it immediately to your nearest police station so action can be taken.
Mm-mm. So what sort of education from your side, from Missing Children S.A, would you give the malls as far as that is concerned? Because we know it has to be a holistic version of security. Let's put it that way. It has to come from the parent. It has to come from the outside environment as well. Because as we know, when we go out with our kids, there are, as you said, other elements. I mean, we have to go into a mall. There are certain things that we have to do. What advice would you ask people like schools and malls and things to be wary of? Because a lot of the times you find these incidents are starting to take a lot more prominency in those types of environments.
Yes, that is very important because our communities are actually those that need to stand together to keep our children safe. So we do ask, schools and malls and all the security to be educated on child safety, be more vigilant in and around a shopping mall. There are procedures in place when a child goes missing within a shopping mall to go into a lockdown. All the security is alerted and people are also put out the entrances and exits to make sure that the child is found. The schools also need to be educated on to keep the children within the school grounds and not stand outside waiting for parents or being dropped off in the morning. And also there should be more security outside our schools, especially with children who have to walk from home and to home from school in the afternoon.
I so agree with you. And we've seen the situation recently where, the Motti brothers were taken and it was very traumatizing. It was really, really traumatizing, I think, for the entire country. And I think, should we say, a serious shock level, because it was not something we were expecting. I mean, on a daily basis. And I mean, last night as well, a gentleman was kidnapped right there going onto the M1 highway. So, when you look at the safety of children, it actually, I think, scares the parents. It's creating that element of doubt to, do I take my kids out? I mean, you're watching this particular aspect yesterday or day before when this kid was abducted. The parents actually all came to the school to want to take their kids home because of, there was that element of fear that was created. And I think that is important, is where we need to understand that schools also have to have now relative, should we say, things in place where the kids are not put at risk in any way. Because, I was hearing that the kids were getting tested on the outside, and with them standing in the line creates more of that vulnerability.
Yes, but it's also very difficult when it comes to kidnapping because kidnapping happens for various reasons. So it depends on the motive behind the kidnapping. But yes, we don't want to implement fear in our children, but we also need to teach them how to keep themselves safe. So it's a very fine line to draw, but we as parents have the responsibility to teach that to our children. Our teachers have the responsibility, and our communities need to stand together to keep our children safe.
I agree with you. It has to be a holistic thing. It has to come from many directions. What sort of advice would you give parents? What is it that you think they can do to create a safer environment for their kids?
Oh, that's also a very fine line. Like I mentioned, we don't want to implement fear in our children, but we need to educate them on the possibilities of kidnapping, on human trafficking that happens. When going, especially also our social media when it comes to our teenagers. As much as social media assists us when we've got a missing persons case, it could pose such a danger to our children as predators being online. So we need to have that trust in our children. We need to have an open relationship with them, know what's going on with them, and if there's any problems, we have to have the openness to come and sit and talk to you to tell them if there's any problems.
Yes, I so agree with you. Communication is key, as they say. While we're on that subject, let's talk about the role that Missing Children S.A. is playing in assisting the community at large with the types of issues they're facing. And we know kids go missing literally on a daily basis. That is the reality we're facing at the moment.
Yes, we deal with cases every single day, unfortunately, not just children's cases, but adult cases too. So we as Missing Children South Africa is there as an emergency response unit firstly when a child goes missing and people don't know how to report it to tell them what to do in the situation. So then as soon as the case has been reported to the police and the case has been opened, we issue a flyer, we spread it on all our social media pages, and we make sure that everything is being done for the child or the person to be found. We communicate between the parents or the family and that of the police to make sure the communication is also open.
I think that's important, as you're saying, and I said it again, communication is key. And I think it's also about creating those support structures within the communities itself. Because if we can do that, we can help each other move forward in many directions to be able to actually assist as far as this issue is concerned.
Definitely. The support structure is very important. And in each community, I mean, we've got our neighborhood watchers, we've got our security companies, we've got our schools, we've got our health departments. If everybody just stands together and supports each other, we can make a difference.
On that note, Bianca, is there a particular protocol that you go out and teach people with regard to this, so that they're, obviously when something like this happens, people get thrown off their bar, and no one's focused, because of course it's a very traumatizing type of situation that people are facing. How would you expect them to, of course, like you said, through yourself, you can get that out, and of course through the relative CPFs and the ad hoc support structures that we have. But how else would you ask them to sort of get themselves out there? Besides, should we go on social media? Is it important for those pictures to be able to reach out to as many places as possible? And of course, getting community members. Should we maybe get community representatives that assist with types of things like this? Because we have community representatives with so many aspects.
Yes, we as an organization do a lot in our communities where we go and speak to schools and at community events and try, create a bigger awareness around what's going on in our country and trying to get the support from the public in all areas to stand with us in the fight against children going missing, human trafficking and gender-based violence. So, but there's always more that can be done. So if schools, shopping malls, everybody like that can just stand together, educate themselves on child safety measures, contact the police when necessary if you some within the community. Just put everything together. It could be a much stronger structure for support at the end of the day.
An important question. Do you think that as far as these kidnappings are concerned, are the police playing a pivotal role in trying to sort of curb the type of situation that people are facing?
Sorry, I lost you there again.
What I was saying is, the situation is so dire. So are the police playing a pivotal role in assisting with these types of situations to be able to curb it in some way?
Yes, we work, like I said, very closely with the South African Police Services. The police also have what we call the Family and Child Protection Unit, the FCS unit, that handles all the missing children's cases. And they're really trying their best from their side to combat this and help with all the cases. But they also do need the support of the public. And we as an organisation do support them, trying to do what they can from their side to combat this.
I'm glad that you brought this up, because it creates a better understanding, because I think sometimes people are under the misconception that they're not doing enough.
Yes. Unfortunately, we do get instances, where the police are still the ones that tend to tell them to wait 24 hours before opening case. So there is always a problem here and there. But as we work very closely with them, especially the FCS unit, we have seen a turnaround time in children's cases that have gone missing to get them back quicker and safely. So we have seen definitely an increase from that side in the assistance with the FCS unit.
And maybe what I think, the police and yourselves should do is look at the protocol. Sometimes in many instances, waiting 24 hours could actually create a worse situation than what there was before. I mean, especially now with the kidnappings and the human traffickings, within that 24 hours, that kid could possibly be over the border or in another country already. So I think it needs to be reviewed where the safety of the child needs to be put first, and the reactive level should be increased and had a look at. And that is why I'm saying, I think from your side, and I know you've been playing a pivotal role, an important one, and a very positive one, to be able to go out there and try and help these people in many directions. But I think from a level of policing and security and protocol, I think we need to start looking at that and changing it, because as we're seeing over these past few weeks, things are starting to get a little bit more dire than what it was before. So I think we need to start adapting to the situation and understanding the seriousness of it, and asking ourselves, waiting for that 24 hours, what is it going to do for our kids? That child could possibly be gone already somewhere else.
Yes, definitely. But there is no waiting period in South Africa to report a child or a person as missing. So that does not exist at all. So if you suspect someone is missing or a child has gone missing, report it immediately to your nearest police station, because action needs to be taken immediately, especially when it comes to a child, because the first 24 hours to 48 hours is crucial. As you mentioned, human trafficking, kidnapping, the child could be anywhere within that 24 to 48 hours. So we do urge parents to please report it immediately. We've actually found that there's a lot of cases that actually get reported like only days later, where parents think that the child will come back home by themselves. And then time has lapsed and makes it very difficult for us and staff to actually then take action on the case. So we urge parents to report it immediately so action can be taken.
I agree with you. I think it's so pertinent, because the thing is, that's what makes or breaks the situation. And I think that's what parents need to understand is, no matter what has happened, just report it immediately. Don't wait a second longer, because, with the types of syndicates and kidnappings and things going on, we do not actually know the type of situation that particular child is in at that moment in time.
Yes. But that is actually the most important, because we don't know what the situation is as soon as the child has gone missing. That needs to be investigated immediately if it could be a possible kidnapping or human trafficking case.
That's true. And what sort of support role has the police been playing with Missing Children S.A? Has it been on a high level?
Yes, we work, like I mentioned, very closely with them. So, and especially with these cases, unfortunately, we cannot comment on any of the kidnapping cases that has happened recently, because we're still waiting for SAP to release a statement regarding that. But we will support them as soon as our helpers calls in on these cases and do as much as possible to help and find these children.
Okay, and let's get quickly to the adults. I just wanted to tap on that as well, because I mean, as we know, last night there was a gentleman that was kidnapped. Does that also get reported to you? Can you take it forward from there? The reason I brought up the subject, I know the family is in turmoil, and it's of course a very dire situation, very traumatizing to the families as such, including the kids that stay in those homes. So, what would you suggest as far as that is concerned? Do we follow the same protocols?
Yes, we do need a case to be opened with the police for us to be able to assist. But kidnappings are very sensitive matters and need to be investigated properly, and protocol needs to be followed. So it's very difficult sometimes, when it comes to a kidnapping case, to know exactly what the motive behind that is and what the kidnapping has actually occurred for. And that's why sometimes staff would not release immediate information, as it might be very sensitive and traumatic to the family.
Oh, yeah, I understand now where you're coming from, but that makes a lot of sense. Bianca, you've definitely, basically, should we say, educated us in many directions on how to deal with this. I'm hoping that this has helped parents to be able to understand a better way of taking things forward as far as their safety of their kids is concerned, as well as the general public. I also want to thank you for joining us, but what words would you like to leave us with today?
Thank you so much. Please, parents, look after your children over the festive season and school holidays. You're welcome to visit our website at www.missingchildren.org.za. We've got some wonderful safety tips on there for parents and children, and also some holiday safety tips. And anyone out there that is willing to support our organization by donation, there's all the ways of donating to our organization. Please stand with us in the help of our children safe.
I so agree with you there. It's about that little goes a long way. And if we can support you, you in turn can support all those communities out there. I want to thank you so much for you and your team. And of course, the SAP is trying to do their best to get things going. From as far as Missing Children S.A is concerned, you are doing a phenomenal job in trying to get as many children back as possible. So thank you so much for you on your side. And we really appreciate that added support structure to be able to help those communities that are facing those issues out there.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
And you take care of yourself, and we're hoping to chat to you soon to get a further update. Thank you so much, Bianca. Have a lovely one. That was Bianca van Aswegen talking to us about how to look at giving us some safety tips and discussing the types of protocols we face when our kids go missing. And as we know, the situation is getting quite dire. It's becoming quite an issue at the moment. So I'm hoping that this has helped you in many directions to understand the types of protocol. We seem to be running out of time, so I want to thank you for joining us. But before we do go, I'd like to leave you with some words of wisdom. It says, never get tired of doing little things for others. Sometimes those little things occupy the biggest part of their hearts, and that's some food for thought for you. I'd like to wish you a lovely weekend going forward, and we look forward to chatting to you same time, same place next week, Thursday. From myself and the team, have a grand one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.